Hey y'all, welcome to Squeakers Country Talk. You're probably wondering what that song is. What in the world is she doing today? Well, I wanted to welcome y'all to Squeakers Country Talk. We would do it on the Facebook page, but since I just created the page, I gotta wait and get more followers. But welcome to Squeakers Country Talk. And what we're going to be doing today, I've got Hunter here with me as my guest, my buddy here, and we're going to be talking about Tony Douglas. Now, y'all are probably thinking, who is Tony Douglas, if you haven't ever heard of him? Well, he was an old country singer, and he made his #1 hit called His and Hers, which is what I was playing there right at first. He's out of Athens, Texas, and he was he made it to the Grand Ole Opry, and they wanted him to move there and play every Friday and Saturday night. And he said, "No, I'm not leaving my home of Athens, Texas." So let's talk a little bit about him and stuff. He was an enormous star in Texas and was popular in the Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas due to his frequent appearances on the Louisiana Hayride. Tony Douglas was born in Martins Mill, Texas, and began playing anywhere he could in 1956. He began appearing on the Cowtown Jamboree in Fort Worth, Texas. His first record came out on the show's record label. Douglas said that first record, World in My Arms, got him on the Louisiana Hayride. Douglas frequently appeared on the Hayride, including appearances after the show ceased to be a weekly presentation. Douglas began recording for D Records out of Houston in the late 1950s. His record of Shrimpin', and mind you, his band was called Tony Douglas and the Shrimpers, but his record of Shrimpin' was a huge regional hit in Texas and was later released on the United Artists label. Douglas' first nationwide hit came out on VJ Records. His and Hers climbed to number 23 nationwide in 1963. Now here's where the Tony Douglas story varies from other young up-and-coming artists. He had the opportunity to move to the Grand Ole Opry. However, there was a catch. Douglas would have to uproot his family from their East Texas home and move to Nashville. Douglas didn't want to do that and turned that opportunity down. Tony Douglas spent his adult life living in the pleasant small town of Athens, Texas. During the week, he worked for the gas company, and on the weekend, and anytime he could fit in, he was on the road around Texas with his band, the Shrimpers. Douglas also controlled his recording career. Instead of knocking himself out to put out records on national labels, he recorded for smaller labels with strong regional distribution, such as Sims, Paula, and his own Cochise label. Douglas did return to a major label, Dot, when his regional record Thank You for Touching My Life was picked up for nationwide distribution. That song and My Last Day both were top 40 country hits in 1972 and 1973. Douglas scored 2 more charted records, the last in 1982. He stayed active almost up to his death in 2013. In later years, after he retired from the gas company, he had a produce stand in Athens, selling fruits and vegetables. He grew himself while playing as many engagements as he could. People talk about Waylon and Willie as the outlaws for taking control of their careers and doing their music the way they wanted to. Well, Tony Douglas was doing that in 1961. He chose not to sacrifice his family for his career. As a result, he was a big star in his home territory. He had a regular career and retired with a pension. After he became retirement age, he recorded more than most of his generation and controlled that output to the end. His old records are still in demand for collectors of real country music. And it all started with a record about his and hers. And Tony Douglas did it his way, where the legends play. He was a God-fearing man, too. He loved Jesus. But he also, there's a lot of different country singers that he actually helped. And I know one of those was Boxcar Willie, and I won't go into much detail there, but Boxcar Willie I know is one of the main ones that he helped out when he was on the Louisiana Hayride. He was with Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis, and I believe Patsy Cline was even on the Louisiana Hayride, and I went to several of his shows when I was probably about Hunter's age, maybe a little bit older, and he'd always take off his hat, and he would sit there and he'd put it on the mic stand. He'd say, "Hey, there's little Jimmy Dickens." You know, he was funny that way. He's a very funny man, and he loved his wife, Mem Douglas, and daughter, and he was a good God-fearing man, but he had a very good country music out there. I encourage you to go and check out and look up some of his music on YouTube, if you haven't already, if you don't know who he is. I listen to him on KKUS, The Ranch, 104.1, out of Tyler, Texas. And many thanks goes out to Bob and Tom for that. Tom Perryman died after Tony did, and but Bob's still out there and doing his own thing, got his own TV show and stuff and everything. But yeah, so anyway, hey Hunter.
Yeah?
Let's talk about another country singer, Jelly Roll. I know we're going way out of distance here with, you know, country singers, because you got
Yeah.
Tony Douglas in 1972, you got Jelly Roll here recently and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But Jelly Roll, did you hear that he lost 150 pounds?
Wow.
He's been on this weight loss journey just like me and your daddy has been. And he's lost over 150 pounds. And he's doing it basically the same way me and daddy are, just by exercising, eating right and stuff. And his wife Bunny's helping him. And you talk about, you know, he's touching a lot of lives out there too. Same way Tony Douglas did and stuff. And stuff. So I just wanted to share that with you.
You want to do another country singer?
Yeah, who do you want to talk about?
Boxcar Willie.
Boxcar Willie. Boxcar Willie could make the train sound with his mouth.
Yeah. I know that for sure.
I can't even remake that sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, Boxcar Willie could sit there and he can make the train sound with his mouth. I'll tell you another singer that can do it. Alan Jackson. He's got there's a song out on one of his that he has, you know, and stuff. But you know how music started out?
How?
Hymns, singing to God.
Yeah.
And then as music progressed, they would sit there and change certain words in it. And they would sit there and, instead of having, you know, one certain word, they changed it to love or my girl or something. And they've changed it over into a love song. And as people progressed, they started writing about what was going on in their lives. You know, like, that's how a lot of country songs are. They're either talking about falling in love, falling out of love, drinking, God, of course, always first. You know, there's a lot of singers out there that are putting out music like Jelly Roll that, you know, talking about God, talking about, you know, what God's done for them.
Mm-hmm.
We call him Papa Love, but yeah. So, who else can you think of right off the top of your head? How about Patsy Cline?
Yeah. What's it do?
So Patsy Cline was a mom. She sat there and she made her living. She sat there and started writing songs and making a living and stuff when she was married. And then she got divorced from him and stuff. I don't know the specific issues that was going on there at the time, but she married Charlie after that, and they had 4 or 5 kids, I believe. And she came out with songs Crazy and Blue Moon of Kentucky and
Texas Tomato.
no, that was Tracy Lawrence. Yeah, no, Patsy Cline sit there and had a lot of hits too. So, Blue Moon of Kentucky, Crazy, Your Cheating Heart, Walking After Midnight,
Yeah.
He'll Have to Go, which actually was originally wrote by another singer, Jim Reeves. Because back in the day, whenever country songs were coming out, a lot of singers sung other people's songs and recorded them and stuff. So, You Belong to Me, Just Closer Walk with Thee, Leaving on Your Mind, She's Got You. Now, Patsy Cline, she was one of those that constantly changed up her look. She always looked different. Every time that she was out, she had a different hairstyle, but she stayed true to her country roots and stuff. And she actually passed away in a plane crash. She was on her way back home with her manager from a show, and they crashed into a mountain. It was a really sad situation. But, yeah.
And they both died?
Yeah, they both died, unfortunately. So let's go on to something a little bit more happier. Let's, because I know that's kind of depressing.
Sad.
But, how about George Strait? He actually just accepted the Willie Nelson Award on the CMAs, the 2024 CMAs. I saw a video the other day, and he thanked God most of all for his success.
Wow.
But George Strait actually started out singing country music, and he was born in 1952, so he's a little bit younger than Fawful Hunter. Strait has more than 120 million records worldwide, making him one of the best-selling country music artists of all time. He holds the RIAA record for most certified albums by any artist, with 33 different albums that are certified platinum or gold. He was born in Poteet, Texas, and now he lives down around the Austin area, I believe, Pearsall, Texas, and his original name was George Harvey Strait Sr. And he's married to Norma Strait in 1971. He started singing in 1976 to present day now.
To present day?
Yeah, meaning now. So, Strait's career in the country music began performing with his band Ace in the Hole in Texas honky tonks in the 1970s, recording tracks for the Dallas-based independent record label D Records. Strait's success began when his first single, Unwound, was a hit in 1981, helping introduce the neo-traditional movement to the mainstream. During the 1980s, 7 of his albums reached number 1 on the country charts. In 2000s, he was named Artist of the Decade by the Academy of Country Music, elected into the Country Music Hall of Fame, and won his first Grammy Award for the album Troubadour. Strait was named CMA Entertainer of the Year in 1989, 90, and 2013, and ACM Entertainer of the Year in 1990 and in 2014. He has been nominated for more CMAs and ACM awards and has more wins in both categories than any other artist.
Wow.
By 2009, he broke Conway Twitty's previous record for the most number one hits on Billboard's Hot Country Songs charts when his 44 number one singles surpassed Twitty's 40 straight. Has amassed 60 number one hits. Give It All Away We Got Tonight was number one in 2013, breaking a record also previously set by Twitty. Conway Twitty. Straight holds the record for most number one songs on all charts by an artist in any genre of music. Straight has been known for his touring career, beginning when he designed a 360-degree configuration and introduced festival-style tours. For example, the Straight tours earned $99 million in 3 years. His final concert for the Cowboy Rides Away tour at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, in June 2014 drew 104,793 people. It set a new record for the largest indoor concert in North America. In mid-2024, Straight set the record for the largest ticketed concert for a single act in U.S. history, with over 110,905 people at Kyle Field in College Station, Texas. He additionally was inducted into the Hollywood Walk of Fame in the same year for its class of 2025. And I believe he's in the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame out in East Texas, which I've been to.
So, it also says United States Army?
Yes, he actually was a veteran.
Wow.
From 70 years of service was from 1971 to 1975, and his rank was a corporal. We were talking about that earlier, wasn't we? He was in the 25th Infantry Division, Schofield Barracks. And so anyway, he was born May 18th, 1952. Wow, he was born in the same month that Papa was born. That's Hunter's grandfather, if some of y'all don't know. My grandfather and stuff. He grew up in nearby Pearsall in the Frio County, where his father was a junior high school mathematics teacher and the owner of a 2,000-acre cattle ranch outside of Big Wells, Texas. The family worked at the ranch on the weekends and in the summers. When George was in the 4th grade, his father and mother were divorced, and his mother moved away with his sister Pensy. George and his brother John Buddy Jr. grew up with his father for most of his early life. George was in ranching alongside his older brother Buddy and his father John. Straight began his musical career while attending Pearsall High School, where he performed in a rock and roll garage band known as the Stoics, taking most of their influence and inspiration from the Beatles and other British invasion-era rock era groups. The Beatles were big. Straight confirmed. I listened to them a lot. That whole bunch of groups that were popular then. He performed in other rock bands during his high school tenure. His musical preference soon turned to country with singers Hank Thompson, Lefty Frizzell, Merle Haggard, George Jones, Bob Wills, Hank Williams, and Frank Sinatra, influencing his style. Straight did not tune in to and listen to country radio often as youth, usually selecting the news and the Farmer's Report instead. His induction to country music came mostly by way of live performances, which, according to Straight, could be heard in every town in Texas. He also was an actor in the movie Pure Country in the 90s, which was huge.
I actually want to see that movie.
You've seen it once before. Maybe we'll watch it again later, and stuff. But yeah, so some of his music included I Crossed My Heart, which was in the movie. Some of his songs include Carrying Your Love With Me, Check Yes or No, Write This Down, Troubadour, Amarillo by Morning, Give It Away, All My Exes Live in Texas, The Cowboy Rides Away. He's got a lot of songs. You want to talk about somebody that's been in the... I don't think he's the oldest living country music star right now, but he's definitely up there with a lot of the great ones that are still around and stuff.
Yeah.
So they've got
So some of them died, some of them lived.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. You know, over the years, different ones of them have went home to be with Jesus and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's just to list some of his songs that he's got and stuff. And he loves Jesus.
Yeah.
But you know, it's pretty amazing the career that God gave him and the gift that God gave him, and he's using his platform that he has now, and he's stayed true to his roots. He hasn't let the money and the fame. In fact, that's what his movie Pure Country was about. Is that he sat there and went back home. In the movie, it's that he plays as a different character. He doesn't play as George Strait. He plays as Dusty in the movie Pure Country, and he sat there and he got tired of all the lights and the smoke, and he just wanted to go back to his roots, which was just singing and stuff. He cut his hair because he had a ponytail in the movie and a beard. And the first town he gets to, he sits there and he goes and has his hair cut and his beard shaved off, and he comes out clean shaven the way you see him here. And stuff. And he sits there and he goes back to his Grandma Ivy, is who she was in the movie. And it wasn't his real grandma, but it's the lady that played Grandma Ivy. And she, you know, she never answered a question. She always answered a question with a question. And that helped George to sit there and go back to his roots. He said, I'm tired of all the smoke and the lights, no amp fire. He just wanted to play music. He just wanted to play his guitar and sing.
Amplifier?
Amplifier.
Amplifier, right.
Yeah. Speaker.
Next to Elvis Presley.
You want to know about Elvis Presley?
Yeah.
I know somebody that used to be a what they call now is a somebody that amps up the show and stuff, introduces and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a radio
Is there a movie about him?
Yes, there is, but hang on, I'll get to that in a second. There's somebody that used to introduce Elvis Presley at all of his shows and stuff. His name was Tom Perryman, and I knew him. He was a radio disc jockey that I met on 104.1 The Ranch, KKUS, in Tyler. And Tom Perryman liked to graze. He loved to go down to Tony Douglas's and go grazing. He'd go see Tony and Mim. And
which means he would go singing?
Nope, he liked to eat. He was a good guy, though. I'll tell you what. And stuff. So, Tom Perryman talked about Elvis. He knew Elvis personally and stuff.
Wow.
You want to talk about somebody that did a lot? Elvis Presley, like, he shared everything he had with everybody. With his entire crew, he would give them jewelry. He would give them cars, I think, and he even bought a house for his mom and dad.
He even had a jet, right?
Yeah, he had a jet, and so Elvis Aaron Presley was born January 8th, 1935, known mononymously as Elvis. He was an American singer and actor, and he was known as the King of Rock and Roll. He was from Tupelo, Mississippi, and he died August 16th, 1977 in Memphis, Tennessee. His resting place is Graceland in Memphis, and he still has his house there. His daughter is buried next to him. His mama and daddy are buried next to him, and I believe he had his brother moved there too. His brother died when he was a kid, and
Wait, how?
I don't remember. But I'm sure it might say in here. But he had the song, "Love Me Tender, Love Me True." So,
He was very young.
he died in 1977. So, do the math there. But anyway, Presley was born in Tupelo, Mississippi. His family relocated to Memphis, Tennessee when he was 13. His music career began there in 1954 at Sun Records with producer Sam Phillips, who wanted to bring the sound of African American music to a wider audience. Presley on guitar and accompanied by lead guitarist Scotty Moore and bassist Bill Black, was a pioneer of rockabilly,
Wow.
an up-tempo, backbeat-driven fusion of country music and rhythm and blues. In 1955, drummer DJ Fontana joined to complete the lineup of Presley's classic quartet, and RCA Victor acquired his contract in a deal arranged by Colonel Tom Parker, who managed him for the rest of his career. Presley's first RCA Victor single, "Heartbreak Hotel," was released in January of 1956 and became a #1 hit in the U.S. within a year. RCA Victor would sell 10 million Presley singles with a series of successful television appearances and chart-topping records. Presley became the leading figure of the newly popular rock and roll through his performative style and promotion of the then marginalized sound of African Americans, led to him being widely considered a threat to the moral well-being of white American youth. People thought because of the way he danced and stuff that it wasn't right. And so they would sit there and try to...
So he was like an enemy to him?
Well, he sat there and he did that pelvic shake. You know, that's pretty much what it was called. And everybody got really, like, offended at that, you know.
Angry at him?
No, well, yeah, angry, but the word would be offended. They got really offended at him and thought that he was dancing dirty, and he really wasn't, and stuff. But in November of 1956, Presley made his film debut in "Love Me Tender," and then he was drafted into the military. So not only did he become a famous singer, he got drafted into the military service in 1958. He relaunched his recording career 2 years later with some of his most commercially successful work. Presley held few concerts, however, and guided by Parker, proceeded to devote much of the 1960s to making Hollywood films and soundtrack albums. Most of them critically derided. Some of Presley's most famous films included Jailhouse Rock, Blue Hawaii, and Viva Las Vegas. In 1968, he returned to the stage in the acclaimed NBC television comeback special Elvis, which led to an extended Las Vegas concert residency and a string of highly profitable tours. In 1973, Presley gave the first concert by a solo artist to be broadcast around the world, Aloha from Hawaii. However, years of prescription drug abuse and unhealthy eating severely compromised his health, and Presley died unexpectedly in August of 1977 at his Graceland estate at the age of 42. Presley is one of the best-selling music artists of all time, with sales estimated around 500 million records worldwide. He was commercially successful in many genres, including pop, country, rockabilly, rhythm, and blues, adult, contemporary, and gospel. He loved Jesus, honey.
Wow.
He made a lot of gospel albums. And he had a song that he actually dedicated to his mom called Mama Loved the Roses or something like that.
Yeah.
He won 3 Grammy Awards, received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award at age 36, and has been inducted into multiple music Hall of Fames. He held several records, including the most RIAA certified gold and platinum albums the most albums charted on the Billboard 200, the most number one albums by a solo artist in the UK album chart, and the most number one singles by any act on the UK singles chart. In 2018, Presley was posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So he had a huge career, and he did rock and roll, rockabilly, pop, gospel, R&B, blues, country,
Talk.
and he was on the Louisiana Hayride, just like Tony Douglas.
So were they on a train?
No.
A train or?
No, they were. It was a bus that carried them around from town to town in the Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas area,
Okay.
and they did shows.
Early years.
Yeah. So the early years says he was born in Tupelo, Mississippi, to Gladys Love and Vernon Presley. Elvis' twin Jesse Guerin was delivered 35 minutes before stillborn. So that's how you asked how his brother died. That's how. I told you it was in here. Presley became close to both parents, especially his mother. The family attended an Assembly of God church where he found his initial music inspiration. So see, you know how I told you how music started out as hymns and
yeah.
stuff? Yeah.
Hey, was everything pink that he had, or?
He had a Cadillac that was pink. I think it was a Cadillac. And every time that he would sit there and he would get a vehicle, and then he'd end up giving it to somebody that was in his circle and stuff. And so anyway, it says here that he went to the Assembly of Church of God where he found his initial music inspiration. Vernon moved from one job to the next, and the family often relied on neighbors and government food assistance. In 1938, they lost their home after Vernon was found guilty of altering a check and was jailed for 8 months. In September of 1941, Presley entered first grade at East Tupelo Consolidated, where his teachers regarded him as average. That meant they didn't think very much of him, Hunter. But God had other plans for him to become a famous singer. His first public performance was a singing contest at the Mississippi-Alabama Fair and Dairy Show on October 3rd, 1945. When he was 10, he sang Old Shep and recalled placing 5th. A few months later, Presley received his first guitar for his birthday. He received guitar lessons from 2 uncles and a pastor at the family's church. Wow. I didn't know that part. I know a lot about Elvis Presley, but I didn't know that. Presley recalled, I took the guitar and I watched people and I learned to play a little bit. But I would never sing in public. I was very shy about it. In September 1946, Presley entered a new school, Milan, for 6th grade. The following year, he began singing and playing his guitar at school. He was often teased as a trashy kid who played hillbilly music. Presley was a devotee of Mississippi Slim's radio show. He was described as crazy about music by Slim's younger brother, one of Presley's classmates. Slim showed Presley chord techniques. When his protege was 12, Slim scheduled him for 2 on-air performances. Presley was overcome by stage fright the first time, but performed the following week. In November of 1948, the family moved to Memphis, Tennessee, enrolled at L.C. Humes High School. Presley received a C in music in 8th grade. When his music teacher said he had no aptitude for singing, he brought in his guitar and sang a recent hit, Keep Them Cold, Icy Fingers Off Me. Never heard that one. He was usually too shy to perform openly and was occasionally bullied by classmates for being a mama's boy. In 1950, Presley began practicing guitar under the tutelage of Lee Denson, a neighbor. They and 3 other boys, including 2 future rockabilly pioneers, brothers Dorsey and Johnny Burnett, formed a loose musical collective. During his junior year, Presley began to stand out among his classmates, largely because of his appearance. He grew his sideburns and styled his hair. He would head down to Beale Street, the heart of Memphis, thriving blues scene, and admire the wild, flashy clothes at Lansky Brothers. By his senior year, he was wearing those clothes. He competed in Hume's annual minstrel show in 1953, singing and playing Till I Waltz Again with You. A recent hit for Teresa Brewer, Presley recalled that the performance did much for his reputation. I wasn't popular in school. I failed music, only thing I ever failed, and then they entered me in this talent show. When I came on stage, I heard people kind of rumbling and whispering and so forth, because nobody knew I even sang. It was amazing how popular I became in school after that. Presley could not read music. He played by ear and frequented record stores that provided jukeboxes and listening booths. He knew all of Hank Snow's songs, and he loved records by other country singers such as Roy Acuff, Ernest Tubb, Ted Dappin, Jimmy Rogers, Jimmy Davis, and Bob Wills. The Southern gospel singer Jake Hess, one of his favorite performers, was a significant influence on his ballad singing style. Jake Hess was also a part of the Bill Gaither.
There's like a lot of other movies, like Rock-a-Doodle-Doo.
Well, yes,
You know?
so
Because that's another one.
that's another movie that was created later, way after Elvis Presley died. But they used Elvis Presley's music in it. So, yes.
Yeah.
And made the rooster sound like Elvis and made him look like Elvis, you know,
Yeah.
and stuff.
They had a lot of details.
Elvis Presley inspired a lot of things, you know, and he paved the way for other people and stuff in life. Somebody else that he toured with was Jerry Lee Lewis. And Jerry Lee Lewis was on the Louisiana Hayride. I guess we're going to talk about Louisiana Hayride today and stuff, because that seems to be where we're kind of going here with this, because we keep mentioning all these people that were on the Louisiana Hayride. But Jake Hess was one of his favorite performers and was a significant influence on his ballad singing style. Presley was a regular audience member at the monthly all-night singing downtown, where many of the white gospel groups that performed reflected the influence of African American spirituals.
So
Hymns back in the day were called African American spirituals.
So Boxcar really was. So he was on like trains, like
He
figure out how.
So the reason that Boxcar Willie got that name, you want to know why?
Wow.
Because he sat there and the way he dressed, the overalls that he wore, and he would travel around before he ever became famous. He traveled around on boxcars, so he got the name Boxcar Willie. You know how you see when we're driving around, sometimes we see the trains and the trains are open, the boxcars are?
Yeah.
People would hop in those and they'd ride them around and stuff. That's why they've got the engineer, the people that sit there and, you know, travel around on the trains that run the trains and stuff. They got people that ride those trains that are supposed to go from boxcar to make sure that nobody's in there now and stuff. You're not supposed to ride around on them. But people still do. They still ride around on them and stuff nowadays. But Boxcar Willie was the one that really, he was known for that. That's how he traveled around. And in fact, here's another story that you don't know about Boxcar Willie that I don't think I ever told you about. So Fawful, when he was a kid, and he was down in Bonham, Texas, there was somebody he knew, I think it was a cousin or a friend, and if I'm getting the story wrong, please let me know. But type it in the comments if I'm getting it wrong. But he sat there and they wanted to go fishing over on this other land, but they couldn't because he said, "Oh no, there's this guy named Boxcar Willie that bought this land. We can't go fishing on that land no more." Family owned that land and Boxcar Willie bought it from him. I think that was out in Bottom, Texas. Let me know in the comments if I'm correct, you know. And if y'all are enjoying this, give me some hearts, give me some love, give me some fire emojis, you know, and stuff.
Yes.
And we're going to have this show every Saturday, 10 a.m., so make sure you join us and stuff. And we're going to be discussing all types of country music, you know, and radio disc jockeys, rockabilly, gospel, history behind all of it. You know, I grew up listening to Tom Perryman and hearing all his stories that he would tell and stuff. So I've got lots of stories, a lot of stuff that my grandfather taught me about country music. So we're going to be talking about all that. So y'all join us every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. and stuff. And, you know, let us know what you think about this show in the comments and stuff. Anyway, so Elvis played rhythm and blues. Like some of his peers, he may have attended blues venues only on nights designated for exclusively white audiences. So back in the day when Elvis was performing, they had what was called segregation, which was really kind of a sad time in American history.
Yeah.
Because African Americans couldn't stand next to white people. It was a very sad situation that went on and stuff. And I'm not getting on the soapbox on that. I'm not gonna get on the political stuff. I'm not gonna get on all that. I'm gonna talk about the history, the facts of it. Whenever they had concerts, they had a line. They had a rope tied off, and the African Americans could not cross over that line, and the white people couldn't cross over the line to the black people. The African Americans, excuse me, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, so just, you know.
Even the little kids?
Even the little kids, yep, it was a very sad time. And so you'll see videos of Elvis, and there's a rope tied off on it, and they couldn't cross over it and stuff. That was during segregation time and stuff. But yeah, so anyway, many of his future recordings were inspired by local African American musicians such as Arthur Crudup and Rufus Thomas. B.B. King recalled that he had known Presley before he was popular, when they both used to frequent Beale Street. By the time he graduated high school in June of 1953, Presley had signed out music as his future. So, and he was part of Sam Phillips and Son Records, Hunter. He paved the way for a lot of different singers and stuff. So, anyway,
was Richard Petty a singer?
No, Richard Petty was a NASCAR driver.
I know that, but I just wondered if, like, nowadays, is it?
No, no. But Dale Earnhardt sit there enjoying, you know, Brooks and Dunn and their videos. Remember, Dale Earnhardt Sr. Yep. Brooks and Dunn. That's another good country music singing duo from back in the 90s. And they had a lot of #1 hits and stuff. So anyway, y'all, we're gonna end the show, but we appreciate y'all being here. And if y'all want to know about any other country singers for next week, drop it in the comments. Drop some fire emojis if you enjoyed this, some love, and y'all come back now. You hear? Got anything else to say, Hunter?
Thanks for watching, and see you next week.